welcome back to the Movable Feasters, Tasting Level 3, the podcast where we explore wines through the lens of our personal WSET 3 learning journey. I am Andrea from the Movable Feasters, and each week we dive into a new wine, unpacking its grape, its region, and tasting it using the SAT. Whether you are studying for WSET or just love discovering new wines, this podcast is for you. Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Tasting Level 3. This episode is all about Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough. The tasting we did at home, and it was a blind tasting. Robert was supposed to guess the wine and the region, but more about that a bit later when we're getting to the SAT. I first want to start with the theory part, as usual. So, Sauvignon Blanc is an aromatic grape. That means little winemaking is done before bottling. The winemakers usually try to bottle the wine as soon as possible, so the aromatics of the grape are kept. A high acidity is usually desirable, and that's why they don't use malolactic conversion, since the buttery aromas would intervene with the fruit. The Sauvignon Blancs are usually done as a varietal wine, meaning they're not blended most of the times, but there are exceptions to these rules. Sometimes it is blended with Semillon. Usually this is done in California and in Bordeaux in Pessac-Léognan. Where it sometimes actually also sees some oak barrel. But today we are talking about a varietal wine done in New Zealand. New Zealand is pretty much isolated in the Pacific Ocean. It is divided in a North Island and a South Island. And Marlborough, the region that's very well known for making Sauvignon Blanc, is situated in the northernest tip of New Zealand's South Island. If you are confused, get a map, and that would make it a lot easier to understand. The climate in this region is very actually cool maritime climate. They get plenty of sunshine, but they sometimes also get plenty of rainfall, which could be a problem for the winemakers. Having plenty of sunshine and cool nights helps preserving the acidity and helps develop ripe fruit flavors in this region. Marlborough is a major center for producing Sauvignon Blanc, and there are a few regions that are mentioned in the book that you should know about. One of them is the larger Wairau Valley. That's spelled Wairau, so Wairau. I hope I'm not butchering that. Our wine is coming actually from somewhere near that, a region that's called Wairaupai Valley. So, the Wairau Valley has long sunny days. It has some aspects and altitudes, and the vineyards are sometimes south-oriented. So you also get in this large region some differences in the wine. Another region that is mentioned in the WSET Level 3 book is the Awatere. It's spelled Awatere, so Awatere region, which is even more south, and it's cooler and windier than the Wairaupai Valley. It produces wines with pronounced herbaceous aromas, and sometimes they do lack tropical fruit that you usually get in the Wairau Valley. So, going back to our wine, as I said, it was produced in the Wairaupai Valley near the larger Wairau Valley. In the SAT, we had following points. The appearance, the wine was clear with a pale lemon color. On the nose, it was clean. It had a medium plus intensity, which you would expect for Sauvignon Blanc. It had only primary aromas, which actually passes very good to the description that not much winemaking is done before the bottling, so the primary aromas are kept pretty much untouched. So we had green apples, quince, some herbal aromas, grapefruit, whetstones. We found the wine to be youthful. Then we went on to the tasting. It was dry, which usually the Sauvignon Blanc in Marlborough is. It had a high acidity, a medium level of alcohol, and a medium body. We got medium plus intensity in the flavors with a lot of grapefruit and gooseberry. And the finish was also medium. Trying to consider the quality of the wines, we went through the Blick. So we looked at the balance, and we had the impression that the wine was a little bit acidic, but overall in good balance. The length was medium, the intensity was definitely a plus, and the complexity was a minus because it only had the primary aromas. So our conclusion was it was a good wine. We decided that the wine could be drank now, but did have some potential of aging considering it had such intense aromas and such a high acidity. So comparing to what we have learned out of the book, the region has a cool climate. So the fact that we identified a lot of primary aromas with intense green apple and grapefruit would go really well with this explanation, as well as the high acidity we got would. Robert did guess the fact that it was a Sauvignon Blanc and that it was coming from the New World. We are not that good at identifying little regions, so we were pretty much satisfied with his guess. For me, the fact that the wine was so herbaceous with grapefruit and gooseberry was a bit of a throw-off, because I'd sometimes tasted some Sauvignon Blancs from the Loire Valley with these characteristics. But I think the fact that the grapefruit was so pronounced and that you got still a bit of passion fruit was again a good hint that the wine was still coming from the New World. So, in conclusion, the Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc is an example for a premium, cool climate Sauvignon Blanc. It is aromatic, it is fresh, and it is very well balanced usually. We think that recognizing how climate, the soil, and the winemaking shape these wines is essential for both tasting and your exam success. So grab a bottle, give it a try, and if you have the chance, you can open a second bottle from the old world to see the difference even better. We plan to do a Sauvignon Blanc from the Loire Valley in the future, so stay tuned. That's a wrap for today's episode of Tasting Level 3. Don't forget to follow us, the Movable Feasters, on Instagram for more tasting adventures. We do a reel on each podcast episode where you can leave us a comment or your remarks on the episode. Cheers to learning one glass at a time.